You know, I started playing Marvel Rivals and I immediately noticed that one of the most striking things about this game is its appearance. The game itself is very beautiful, not only because of the aesthetic style that deviates from the super realistic standard that many next-gen games try to achieve, but instead it leans more towards a comic book style, which pays homage with posters in an entire section of the game as if they are comic book pages. Another thing about this game is that he is objectively sexy. The female characters can remain in tank roles without being stripped of their femininity. Specifically, there are feminine features that make them more attractive. An example of this is a newly added character, Emma Frost. You can see that is really beautiful. On the other hand, in Autor's games we see many female characters who undergo a defeminization in their appearance, as happens in Overwatch 2 with Zarya, or Autor's games that I don't have any desire to play. But I have to say that Overwatch 2 got right with the diva. For me, she is the very best girl of this game. When the character don't is beautiful or sexy, that ends up distancing us from these characters because no one likes to be ugly, so very likely they wouldn't want to choose an ugly character. Since we deal with art, the characters we play often becomes an avatar of ourselves, an artificial persona created by the art which we connected. We live in a generation where we like to pretend that beauty is something subjective, that it has no criteria, and everyone pretends to be deceived, so norms can avoid the unpleasant discomfort of the truth. But no matter how much there may be variations in what we consider beautiful for each person, in fact these variations have an average, a common point which very likely in your daily lives we will call objectivity, as there are people who are objectively and irrefutably ugly. We won't see monsters from Dead Space or Resident Evil and say, look how beautiful. To be honest, I think that as a player, the ugly designs they have for the villains are generally meant to repel or create a discomfort for the player, making you not want to be near these beings, as they are possibly evil or could spread a disease. So, disgust and revulsion are normal. We as humans obviously have an attraction to certain things, colors, combinations, and people. And obviously this happens with video games. What is beautiful attacks and what is ugly repels, and this is one of the most basic things that people should know about the art and perhaps even about the life. As annoying as it is to be an ugly person like myself, lying about the objectivity of the beauty won't help your life, mine, or even the developers to sell their games. An example of a game with ugly characters is Concord, which besides having several ugly characters like this old lady, this alien with cancerous arms, the robot trash, and this fat woman and this fat man. Whoa, these developers really like fat characters. The designs of all the characters who are not exactly ugly are forgettable, normal or banal. This alien is wearing normal clothes, a bit torn, with a little gun. It's as if they forget the character should be appealing to the audience right from the start, because it's a hero shooter. And when we return to Marvel's Rivals, we can notice that for the most part these characters are iconic because they have inherent many characteristics from the comics that define them, and the few instances where they aren't, like with Wolverine, who I found to be mischaracterized. At least I can't feel that this guy is Wolverine. There are skins that truly resemble what is most expected from these characters, at least in the comics or the movies. This make me think that is an incredible move of this company, because a person that doesn't know who's Psylocke usually looks like might not care about more comics designs from the comics or the movies, but a fan will definitely want to see the designs that are more similar and will want to buy these skins. Another thing we can notice when contrasts Concord with Marvel Rivals is the fact that while Concord has a completely plastic style without any distinctive features that set it apart, leaving a graphic tone that feels plastic and generic, Marvel Rivals does the opposite. The characters seem alive, as if each frame, tone, and movement were animated and hand-painted, giving it a style that stands out from any other game I've seen so far. I would say that in terms of beauty in the design, the only other game that wins is No Rest for the Wicked, which I haven't played yet, but I'm really eager to play. However, in No Rest for the Wicked, it loses in terms of beauty regarding the proportions of the characters, which I honestly find a bit strange when I first see the male character in the gameplays that you construct your character, while in Marvel Rivals, all the female characters have proportions in their measurements. The women have the hourglass shape that basically every man likes, even when she deviates a bit from the beauty standards like a Girl. She still has a great proportion. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to the release of She-Hulk. Moreover, you can notice that the characters have a jiggle physics, a beautiful jiggle physics. This is a small detail that might go unnoticed, but it makes a difference for the game to stand out from other competitors. Even more so when you take into account when you remember the age we live on, when most of the games have ugly characters that don't are much appealing for the audience, if you are understanding me. And speaking of differentiations, one of the things I noticed when I researched more about the game and find an interview in a site with one of the designers is, when compared to other games like Overwatch, is the interactivity with the environment and the characters are much more developed in the Marvel Rivals. The developer says that they placed a lot of emphasis on creating a destructible environment, and we can see that in the game. The scenarios are not isolated and indestructible entities that can withstand superhumans and godlike beings. This characteristic led us to a stage that I think is very important when playing a video game or when absorbing any art, which is the credibility of that art. Maybe I am speaking wrongly about the correct word, but I am speaking the ability that art itself have to enter in that world and you believe that the art is real. When you read a book or a manga, you know that all the things that happens are fictional characters that don't exist in the real life, but even so, the art itself influences your emotions, almost like they are real things. All art that has context and characters has certain premises, and when these premises are not well constructed or do not interact appropriately, we take the focus away from the art and start thinking things like, wait, this doesn't make sense. Then we try to justify and rationalize and say things like, this is something from a video game. Or we simply don't agree, or we simply don't like the art and stop watching it. And this make all the difference for you to enter the game world, and this doesn't just end with the scenery. It also happens with the character's abilities. I was amazed when I first saw that you can use Hulk together with another player who has Wolverine, activating a skill to launch Wolverine at an opposing player. This is the kind of thing that makes you marvel at the game, because if you have seen any comic book or movie, you know that this kind of scenes happens. So guys, if you have watched this far, give me a hand and share the video with someone you think will like it. If not, at least give it a like and subscribe to the channel.